Organized Love, performed by Margaret. She labels herself as a pacifist, a folk singer, and human being. She brought life to folk singers and everyone around her. Through her music and her actions, Joan Baez took a stand and created change during the Vietnam War era. And not even through the Vietnam War, but throughout history. Civil rights movements, nonviolence, human rights. She said, with my art, I guess I can help fulfill my philosophy by creating for others. Well, she guessed right, and used her fame and music to help spread anti-war ideas and actions. This past October, I had the opportunity to meet Ms. Baez and spoke with her about her positions on taking a stand. She answered my questions poetically, her powerful words echoing through the room. But after one question, she stopped, paused for a moment. She had to think. When were there specific moments in your life when you knew you had took a stand and created change? How's everyone doing tonight? Doing well? This next song, it has a lot of meaning to it. In fact, I want to dedicate this song to a very special friend of mine. Some of you might have heard of him. When I was 15, I heard this great man speak. He was our main speaker at a 3-day conference held about world issues. He talked about injustice and the idea of fighting with love. This man, of course, was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And when he finished his strong, sweet lecture, we all stood up on our feet and cheered and cried. In fact, it was him who gave a shape and meaning to my passionate beliefs. When I was 17, it was announced at school that we were to have an air raid drill the next day. After 3 bells would sound, we needed to calmly and quietly get back to our homes and sit in our cellars. That day, I immediately dove into one of my father's physics books. Of course, the time it took for a missile to get from Moscow to Palo Alto High School was not nearly enough time for us to walk home. The next day, after the 3 bells had sounded and everyone had gotten out of their seats, I remained in mine, reading. Miss Baez, what do you think you're doing? I'm protesting this stupid air raid drill because it is false and misleading. I'm staying here, in my seat. I was on the front page of the local newspaper the next day. My father was so pleased to see me with my actions. I must have finally proved to him that I was interested in something more than boys. My mother thought it was wonderful. From that day forth, I made sure that my actions were meaningful and impactful. I've now helped the same Dr. King who I heard speak earlier with civil disobedience. When he heard that kids walking to school were getting beaten and traumatized, I walked with them. See, if the press was there, the whites wouldn't touch the kids. I continued to walk with them back and forth to and from school. In '63, I participated in the March on Washington for jobs and freedom alongside Dr. King. I sang "We Shall Overcome" and push for freedom for all races. Lord, it felt so good to sing in front of all those people. The wind in my hair. It was the wind of freedom. I think music has the power to transform people, and in doing so, transform situations, some large and some small. Now, we're in the midst of a great war in Vietnam. Gosh, why does there have to be so much violence in this world? We're paying taxes out of our pockets to help continue that war. Why should our money go to violence? This world needs love, not hate. We need to take action. We need to take a stand. In '67, 55 others and I filed suit in district court. We all wanted refunds of our '65 and '66 income taxes that were used towards military spending. We demonstrated how it was against our religious beliefs to help support war. Since it violates the First Amendment of our freedom of speech and religion, no one could argue. I led and gathered a group of people outside of Almeida Naval Air Station to help protest the use of tax money for the war. 41 people were taken into custody that day. I got arrested twice, among 69 others in Oakland, California, where we blocked induction centers and persuaded draftees were reporting for induction. But still, we fought on. Sure, people didn't always agree with what we said. Some people were even meanies to us. But that didn't stop us from marching to that beautiful golden peace that lay ahead of us. And that's what I want you to do. Keep on marching, keep on singing to that golden, peaceful world that lies ahead of you. No matter what people say, we need to fight. You see, it's these small acts of rebellion that can help spark a fire in the right direction. Standing up for yourself and protesting is a part of the American experience. Now, how many of you have draft cards to go to Vietnam tonight? How many? Now, I urge you, all of you, to come up here and place your draft cards right here on the stool. I'm going to send them to Nixon myself. Yeah, that's right. Now, you don't have to be afraid. There are possible consequences, but we need to take a step beyond that. We need to put yourself on the line. Do the right thing and turn in your draft cards. You don't say that's the right thing to do? Try killing thousands of innocent people out there in Vietnam. Does that sound like the right thing to do? I hope my acts of rebellion have proven to you that it's possible, that there can be peace. I've recently endured something that I never thought would happen. Beginning on December 18th of last year, American B-52s dropped over 20,000 tons of bombs on the cities of Hanoi. I happened to be in that targeted city and endured 11 days and 10 nights in a bomb shelter among my fellow pacifists. This was the first time in the war that American B-52s were used against North Vietnam's major cities. The air raid sirens sounded throughout the nights, and I sang. I sang and I sang even when we were surrounded in darkness, our ears popping. I sang. Turns out the Christmas bombing was the heaviest wave of bombing in the history of the world. The next day, we picked our way across the craters of debris. I saw a woman in the distance. She was chanting, and I thought she and her family had survived, but when we got closer, I saw her face, twisted in some kind of awful shock and agony, dazed as she picked through the rubble. She would pick up a brick, put it down, pick up a brick from someplace else and put it down. We asked the interpreter what it was she was chanting, and he said it was an old song that went, "Where are you now, my sons? Where are you now?" Organized love. That's all nonviolence is. Organized love. Joan Baez continues to inspire many people, including myself, as she stood up for what she believed in. She took a stand for nonviolence, something that not everyone else thought, and she was continually put down, being arrested and facing charges, but nothing ever stopped her beautiful voice from singing. She kept on doing what she loved, making music, creating change, and spreading her organized love. Thank you.